Hello guys, this is Real Recaps. In this video, I will talk about a 2005 German film, Secret Love, The Schoolboy and the Mailwoman. Before we start, I hope you will like and subscribe to the channel. At the beginning of the story, a family relocates to a new city in Germany. The protagonist, Joe, arrives with his parents and his younger sister. Joe is an 18-year-old boy who is not only intelligent and attractive but also ranks among the top students in his class. Once they settle into the new city, the family decides to explore the marketplace in the evening. During this outing, Joe chooses to ride his scooter to the beach. Upon reaching the shore, he notices a middle-aged woman swimming in the water. Curious, Joe climbs down a hill to get a closer look. However, as the woman begins changing her clothes, he accidentally slips, drawing her attention. She looks in his direction and unexpectedly opens her towel. Overcome with embarrassment, Joe hastily leaves the area. Later, Joe reunites with his family at the marketplace, only to spot the same woman again. Intrigued, he follows her to a hotel. Summoning some courage, he decides to take her shoes. When the woman, Rosemary, opens the door, Joe becomes nervous and considers leaving. However, Rosemary invites him inside and introduces herself. She appears to already know that Joe is a student. Despite the age gap between them, Rosemary makes an unexpected move, but Joe, feeling overwhelmed, quickly exits the room. The following day, after much contemplation, Joe resolves to return to the hotel, hoping for another opportunity. However, upon arrival, he finds only Rosemary's t-shirt. Determined to find her, he contacts the hotel reception to request her contact details. He later dials the number but is shocked to realize that the person who answers is Rosemary's husband, Peter. Realizing his mistake, Joe immediately hangs up the phone. The scene then shifts to Joe in his classroom, where he reflects on his recent experiences. During class, he correctly answers his teacher's questions, earning the teacher's approval. Later, Joe calls Rosemary's husband again and manages to obtain the address of the place where Rosemary works as a delivery woman. Feeling emboldened, Joe decides to wait for Rosemary after her shift. When she finally appears, Rosemary instantly recognizes him but is confused about why he has been following her, especially after he ran away the last time. Joe himself is unable to provide an answer. A few days later, he encounters Rosemary again while she is carrying some items. He asks for her assistance, but she refuses and dismisses him. Soon after, Joe is involved in a road accident. Seeing him injured, Rosemary takes him home to administer first aid. After tending to his wounds, Rosemary leads Joe into her room and begins unbuttoning her shirt. Joe, unable to contain his excitement, loses control and ends up prematurely releasing mayonnaise. The next morning, Joe skips class to meet Rosemary while her husband is away at work. Their meeting becomes even more intimate, with Joe touching her in just the right places. Over time, he starts prioritizing Rosemary over his studies. He frequently dozes off in class and spends his time at her house instead of following his usual routine. One day, while practicing piano at home, Joe's mother, dressed up and ready to leave, asks him to watch over his younger sister. However, Joe, eager to see Rosemary, disregards his mother's request and leaves his sister alone to rush to Rosemary's house in the rain. Joe's sister, being intelligent, notices his absence but does not cause any trouble. At Rosemary's house, Joe engages in an intense cardio session with her. However, their moment is abruptly interrupted when Rosemary's husband arrives unexpectedly. Joe, in a panic, quickly grabs his clothes and hides on the balcony despite the pouring rain. Inside, Rosemary keeps her husband distracted, preventing him from stepping outside. Once Peter finally goes to bed, Rosemary ensures Joe leaves safely before anything else can happen. Following these events, Joe becomes overwhelmed with jealousy and frustration. He feels hurt that Rosemary made him wait outside in the rain just to keep her husband from noticing. This realization leaves Joe feeling angry and emotionally confused. He returns home in tears, struggling to understand his emotions. His parents notice his distress and grow increasingly concerned, especially as their own relationship seems to be deteriorating. The next day, Joe and his family attend a church event featuring a piano performance. While there, a girl takes an interest in Joe, but he is too preoccupied with thoughts of Rosemary to acknowledge her. When Joe gets back home, he is surprised to find Rosemary waiting outside his house. His parents assume he knows her, but Joe, still upset, chooses to ignore her and goes inside. The following day, Rosemary confronts Joe outside his school. This time, Joe finally expresses his anger, explaining why he was so upset with her that night. Rosemary arrived at Joe's house, aware that his parents would be out for the evening. Joe was supposed to be looking after his younger sister, but when Rosemary showed up, they got into a heated argument. Despite their frustration with each other, they eventually apologized, clearing up any misunderstandings and resolving their conflict. Feeling more relaxed, Joe sat at the piano and played a beautiful melody, which helped him connect with Rosemary and touch her heart. Afterward, Rosemary suggested that they visit the park together the following day. When the day arrived, they spent an enjoyable and carefree time at the park, delighting in each other's company. As the day progressed, their moods lightened, and they became playful and relaxed in the open space. They shared a spontaneous moment of closeness, strengthening their bond. Later, they decided to take some photos together, capturing memories of their time together. As evening set in and hunger crept in, Rosemary invited Joe to her guest house, which was situated near the park. There, they continued enjoying each other's presence while preparing a meal. Joe's life seemed to be going well, but things started to take a turn when his younger sister informed their mother that he was spending most of his time with a new girlfriend. Growing suspicious, Joe's mother checked his phone and discovered the pictures he had taken with Rosemary, leaving her uncertain about how to address the situation. Meanwhile, Joe's academic performance began to decline, prompting his teacher to urge him to pay more attention to his studies. However, Joe remained distracted, prioritizing his time with Rosemary. One day, while Joe's parents were away, Rosemary visited his house again. In a romantic moment, Joe handed her a heartfelt love letter. As Rosemary read his words, she became deeply moved, and the atmosphere between them grew even more intimate. Wasting no time, Rosemary became more assertive, and the two of them engaged in yet another intense cardio session. However, just as their passion reached its peak, the sound of the main gate opening startled them. In a rush, they quickly put their clothes back on. Joe, unsure of what was happening, went to check who had arrived. To his shock, he found his mother with another man. Consumed by fury and disappointment, he stormed out of the house. Rosemary attempted to console him, but he ignored her and walked away. Upon returning home, Rosemary was confronted by her husband, Peter. His suspicions of her infidelity had grown stronger, and in a fit of rage, he raised his hand, causing one of Rosemary's eyes to swell. Almost immediately, Peter regretted his actions. He apologized and took care of her injury. Meanwhile, Joe's mother ended her relationship with her lover. She tried to talk to Joe in an effort to mend their relationship, but he was still too angry and rejected her attempts. Confused and distressed, Joe's mother later had a conversation with his father, revealing that he had already been aware of her affair. The following day, Joe's mother approached Rosemary and offered her money, requesting that she stay away from Joe. However, Rosemary refused the offer. Later, she met Joe outside his college. Upon seeing her bruised face, Joe became even more enraged, but Rosemary remained calm and explained that she was ending their relationship. She no longer wanted to be unfaithful to her husband and had decided to remarry him. As a parting gesture, Rosemary handed Joe an invitation to her wedding and left. Holding the invitation in his hands, Joe felt an overwhelming sense of heartbreak and abandonment. Overcome with emotion, he rushed to Rosemary's guest house, leaving everything behind. On the same day, he had a crucial final exam, but he was nowhere to be found. Concerned about his son's disappearance, Joe's father sought Rosemary's help to find him. Together, they went to her guest house and discovered Joe fast asleep, completely unaware of the time. To wake him up, they splashed cold water on his face. After a brief but firm scolding, they managed to bring him back to his senses. With love, Rosemary took Joe to his school. She gently explained that while she did love him, they could never be together. She encouraged him to forget her and move forward in life. Understanding her words, Joe proceeded to take his exam, while Rosemary went ahead with her wedding. In the end, Joe came to terms with Rosemary's departure. As time passed, he healed and moved on. He realized that life held many more opportunities and relationships waiting for him in the future. The end. Thanks for watching.